reclaim the living room.
Yes!
Today, we are reclaiming the living room. We have a lot of fishing poles, and I found this fancy fishing pole holder that lets you just kind of pull that forward and drop your fishing pole in. And so we're going to measure this and times it by 4 and cut that board, and maybe trim the dog while we're at it. Cut the board, paint the board, mount these to it, mount it to the wall, hang up the fishing poles, and then we're going to build this fancy rack to hang up all the waders. Very excited to get the living room back. That is 16.5 times 4 is 33, that's 66, so on the side is 68, and this is 68 across. Andrew Camerata never wears safety glasses.
Well, I bet his mother doesn't like that.
So the hardware that the racks come with is too long. You can see it would go through and it would screw into my wall. So I had to dig around, and luckily I had some shorter screws that I think will work. All right, so I found some screws long enough. Remember, we got to get through the fishing pole holder, through the board, through the sheetrock before we get into the actual stud.
Okay.
Push that over this way, about there. How's that? Push it up a little bit. You good?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I'll just use that to mark the wall. There we go. When you break them down and you cinch them together, you're going to have a fat piece and a skinny piece, and I didn't know how that was going to work. Basically, this thing is just going to grip the fat piece, and the skinny piece is just going to have to be held because we've got binders on either end. Getting the living room back. So we'll have fishing poles, we'll have waders. It'll all be in here. We won't have a mess in the living room. So what we're finding is that case where the fat grabs the fat one but not the skinny one, so that forces the reel to lay against the wall, and we want the reel to be out so the one next to it can sit in there. So that means we need to take this top piece of the rod and push it around to the back. obviously it's not a video about how to roof a house. It's just things I'm learning. It's currently Wednesday morning at about 10 o'clock, and Friday at noon the rain starts. It's about 58 degrees right now, so this is the best roofing project I've ever done. As far as tearing off a roof, usually it's hot and the tar is getting all over you, but today it's just a beautiful day to be roofing. I got an estimate for put a roof on this place was $54,000, and that's a lot of money. Metal roof, I might get ice damming. I'm gonna try some things to stop that, but it won't creep up and come in between my shingles. And I'm gonna put ice and water barrier on the whole house. I can put it on myself, put a metal roof on for 30 grand with ice and water barrier on the whole thing. So that's a savings of, well, it's a money savings. Of course, it's a time savings and rain savings, and we'll see which one balances out. Welcome back to, I think, day 3 or maybe day 2.5 of tearing the roof off. And maybe don't try and do this kind of thing by yourself if there's rain coming. The goal keeps changing. Scope, schedule, resource. Your schedule's slipping. You don't have the resource. Change the scope of the work. Get this dried out so that it's dry, and then get it dried in. And the ice water barrier I'm using is called the FT Synthetics. And there's a video online of some fellas down in Louisiana who put it on a roof. Didn't have time to get the shingles on, and it went through 2 hurricanes. And didn't peel up, kept the house waterproof. So once that synthetic ice and water barrier is down, I don't have to worry about getting the roof on right away. I think they can go 180 days or something is what they say. Unfortunately, sometimes when the wife comes up to help, she says things like, you need to take a break, and that is less productive when you take breaks. So lots of different ways to do a roofing project. I'm sure I'm doing it wrong, but I am just not a fan of messes. So I try to keep things sort of organized and clean while I'm going. I can't do it. I can't have that mess. You're scraping these off, and each time you're moving the mess further and further, and you move the mess 50 times. Sorry about the audio. It's the incessant noise of children playing in the background. It just drives me nuts. So if you have to listen to it too, I'm sorry. So there's a few traces of orange sled on the remaining comp. I'm guessing by the end of this, there may be no orange sled left, but small price to pay. Seems to be a pretty good method. Better maybe than breaking my main water line. And what I'd note, how just my back was hurting last night, and it's not from pulling these nails out with a little hammer thing, a little shovel, fancy roofing shovel. It's not from picking up each individual panel, it's from picking them all up and carrying them over there. So I had to find a better way. We got help. Chris showed up. He's been out fishing the salt for halibut, but he showed up to help me today. So we spent the morning pulling up nails and staples, and ran the leaf blower and the magnet catcher, and just tried to clean up as much as we could. There's a storm coming in. It's supposed to rain for 2 days, I think. So we are putting down the FT Synthetic Platinum HT. I don't know. This stuff rocks. It's really good. It sticks to you. And we're figuring it out. 2 amateurs, and it's working. Long day. Did not expect this, but it's almost 4 o'clock. We got started about 7:30. So dried in now. Luckily the rain that we were anticipating didn't show up when we were expecting it, but it's supposed to be here any hour according to the weather apps, which were wrong before. Got roofing manufacturers on the way. I got friends on the way on planes coming here right now to help me put roofs on. I haven't got the old roof off yet, so I'm trying to get that off before they get here. I'm almost ready to call it a day, but it's like, oh, just one more row. I'm going to bed pretty soon. My help, his plane was delayed, so he had to catch another flight, which gave him like a 6 or 7 hour layover. My wife and Chris went to town to Anchorage to pick him up, and so now they're delayed. I think his flight comes in at 10:30, and then they're going to drive home, so they got about a 3-hour drive.
Comes off the rolls, and a little machine just makes the bends in it, and then they cut it, and the machine cuts it, and then these guys just stack it over here, and then Brian will put it on the roof this week.
Got the shingles all pulled off, got all the staples out, got it dried in. Rained about 20 minutes later. It's been raining on and off ever since, and everything seems to be staying dry. Been trying to figure out these panels. You just can't know until you start bending them and figuring with them yourself. Turned out these are 24 gauge panels. The color we ordered only came in 24 gauge, and so we got a deal on them. But it means that you got to bend a lot more metal. Had a fellow from church here helping me out. We're trying to figure it out together. We got a few panels on the roof, and we got into where we just got to make a jig and modify the tool. The tool that was available didn't quite give us the bend radius we needed, so now we got some indicators here to give us the relief for the bend. Made a jig for it to all set on. I think it's planning, prototyping. I think it's almost time to just start putting panels on the roof. So seasons of excitement and seasons of exhaustion. So I am still putting the roof on. I didn't want to make a roofing show, but I figure some of you may want to do this yourself. I find the ramp to be very helpful. Just put a board there so I can load it on here myself, climb up the ladder, pull it up. This was a situation where they brought these panels out and they manufactured them in my yard. They just the machine came to the house, and they have a big spool of metal, and it spits it out in the shape and the length that you want. This is 24 gauge steel, so I use a crowbar to bend it up and over. Get it started. I can bend it myself. I know I can because I've done it. But times 800 or so, I chose not to do that. I found if I just smash it down, I put the velvet on here to keep from scratching it. But I found if I just smash it down, it makes it too tight and it won't pull into that drip edge. So I put the spacer in there to just give me some level of gap. Smash it down. Just like that. That's the story on the roof. I keep plugging away. We'll walk back here and you can see what I've got done so far. It doesn't seem like much.
But winter is coming.
And I think you can see what I got there, maybe. Anyhow, that's all done. That's done. The other side is done. So this whole side is done with the exception of that ridge cap. The ridge cap on there and the chimneys. I'm gonna do some fancy work on the chimneys. So continued on, putting roof panels on. Things are going well. I went up on the roof to put the last rubber boots on the vents, and things didn't go as planned.
Hello, I'm back, and boy, things took a turn. So I had one more rubber boot to put on the vent on the roof, and then I took a ride. And let's see, and this is what happened. I think we can see what's happening there. Let's see if I zoom in on that. Yeah, so that little. So we were scheduled to go for a trip to Michigan. Gotta go fishing with Captain Chris Omer and do some deer hunting and have some Thanksgiving. And instead, there we go. Got a fat foot. Slipped, went off the roof, landed. I got it like a 6.8 from the judges. Rebecca heard me immediately, was outside quickly to check on the carnage, and pulled my boot off, pulled my sock off. One of my toes was going in a direction it's not designed to go in, and so she had to put it back where the way it was supposed to go. She taped them up, got on a plane, which you should not do. Evidently, I'm learning afterwards. And flew for basically all day. We flew into Boise, Idaho, rented a car, and had a few extra minutes. Thought we'd stop and get some x-rays and see what was going on. And it turned out that one for sure, maybe two of the metatarsals are broken. So I got a fancy boot. How about that? Oh, we're not in Minnesota yet, but got a fancy boot, trying to keep the foot above the heart, or something like that. Ice on, 20 minutes off, something like that. We got Cheyenne in the car, and we are driving to Michigan because who wants to fly through Chicago on Thanksgiving weekend? That just sounds like a really dumb idea. So the price of 3 airline tickets, we're going to see Captain Chris, and things change. Road trip.
Hey, you know what's not here?
What's not here?
Snow.
Yes, there's no snow.
There's no snow yet.
No snow. There is a burning ball of flame in the sky. We don't see that as much anymore. And oh, there's traffic. There's definitely traffic, and I believe potatoes. I'm pretty sure those are Idaho potatoes.
Well, we made it to Michigan. It's been snowing and been hobbling around. Doug came to go fishing with us. Got Captain Chris.
Spilling his coffee. Never fished in the snow before. This
Snowing?
will be first.
We're going after steelhead. A sincere thank you to those that flew across the country or came across town to help me put a roof on the house. Thanks to Rebecca for putting my toe back in the socket where he can be happy with his friends. Thanks to Chris for hosting us for Thanksgiving. And mostly, thank you for watching. We do appreciate it. See you in a week.